May I request to our IQSC coordinator, Professor Chandranath Adhikari. Professor Adhikari, to introduce our today's resource person.
Okay,
Hello.
okay. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Parthasarathi Mukhopadhyay, who is a professor in Library and Information Science and a former head of the same department in the University of Kolkata. Professor Mukhopadhyay is a recipient of the Best Young LIS Teacher Award. Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Hello, you are audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Professor Mukhopadhyay is a recipient of the
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Okay. He is the recipient of the Best Young LIS Teacher Award and is an open source enthusiast. He is also a developer and promoter of many open source projects. He has more than 100 papers in journals and conference volumes and 5 books in his beeline. His recent book on interoperability and retrieval is published by UNESCO Paris. Professor Mukhopadhyay acted as a metadata consultant for the project NDL, that is National Digital Library, hosted by IIT Kharagpur. He is presently a member of the advisory committee for the National Virtual Library project of Ministry of Culture, Government of India. He developed Vidya Online as an e-learning portal for Vidyasagar University in 2006 and is presently running 3 online courses in the SIAM platform. Now it is over to Dr. Santosh Kumar Tonga to invite the Honorable Dr. Parthasarathi Mukhopadhyay.
I came to know from principal sir that a lot of people registered for this webinar from the outside also. I welcome you all on behalf of myself and behalf of the college. Really, it's a great thing to celebrate because this college is first time actually conducting this kind of webinar and they are getting huge success. And I request all my fellow participants that you please stop presenting yourself. If you start presenting yourself, then Google Meet will not allow me to present myself. Okay, so first thing is that if it is not very much required, please switch off your video transmission and your audio, and please don't try clicking the stop presenting button in between the presentation. So let us start today's deliberation. Today's deliberation is that information literacy and the power of open source and open access. And I do think most of the participants here are actually from the teaching community as well as some member from the student community as well. So I will be trying to be as lucid as possible, keeping in view the requirement of the students. But some things definitely it is made for teachers only, and only teachers can understand. So it will be a judicious mixture to address both the teaching community, library professionals as well as the student community. Making my video off and moving towards my presentation mode. It will take 10 seconds of time, so don't worry. Someone please you can do slide or not. Hello? Hello? Can you see my slide? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can. We can see.
Yes. Yes.
And one request to the coordinator, it may happen due to network connectivity that all on a sudden you cannot see my screen. The very moment somebody is intimate me that my screen is visible. So thank you very much.
Sir, your audio is
So
not clear.
that this please.
Your audio is not clear, sir.
Hello. You see, sometimes voice breaking may take place, but
Sir, please continue. Please continue.
yeah. Sometimes voice breaking. It is part of the webinar. You have to bear with it.
Okay, sir, you may proceed, sir.
Okay. So as you see that today's topic is information literacy, power of open access and open source, because I will be explaining what is the relationship between the open access and open source. So let me move to the very first slide. So as a teacher, as a student, as an academician, you all know that the shift already happened. Okay. It shows that my microphone has been shared by someone. Okay, please check. That may be the reason for sound quality.
Okay, sir, now it is clear.
Okay now. Okay now.
Okay.
Hello. Fine. Okay. A student, as a teacher, and as a library professional knows this much in compared with their counterparts in academia, that the shift already happened. Now, it's not that this pandemic situation or this COVID-19 situation led this particular shift. It already happened 5-6 years back, and I will be telling you what happened in the academia. The thing is that for the last 10 years almost, four fundamental factors are changing the way we interact with the different activities of our teaching, learning and evaluation process, including the information services we are getting from the library. First and foremost factor is the platform, the internet, open and distributed information system. It is active as the platform. Then the entire internet is built on the top of open source software and open standards. One example of open source software, suppose you are accessing this particular webinar through either Google Chrome or by using Mozilla Firefox. These are web browsers, and both of the web browsers you are using to access Google Meet are basically open source software, available free of cost. Anyone can change, anyone can customize. So entire open internet is built on the top of open source software. You take web server, Apache is there. You take database management system, MySQL, PostgreSQL. So entire building block is based on the open source software, and this is powered also by the open standard. Say for example, you are accessing this Google Meet from your mobile. I am accessing from laptop. You are using Windows. I am using Linux. So this kind of heterogeneous situation is managed by an open standards in internet, that is called TCP/IP. 21 protocol activities are blended, and open standards are actually giving input to the open source software. So these three factors, internet as a platform, open source software and open standards are building blocks, are giving us to beautiful product as far as academia is concerned. One is the open access publishing system, another one is the open learning system. So today's talk I will be concentrating only on open access publishing system. So some part later open learning system we can cover. So I was talking about the paradigm shift. What happened during the last 5-6 years? I am giving you one particular example right from the 1991. Hello?
Excuse me, sir. Your screen is not shared. Please share your
Okay.
screen.
It happens in between if someone start present Google. So that I'm requesting everybody, please do not click the stop presentation button. Hello?
Now okay. And now okay, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So as I said, wait a bit.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Sir, please
sir. Okay.
continue.
Now it's okay.
Okay, fine. Okay. So as I said, shift already happened. The first example is in the journal publication system. If we take into account from 1991 to 2006, you see the blue bar indicates number of new print journal introduced in a year. It indicates number of e-journal introduced in a year. Here you see that appeared in 1996. So, and print journal in that year more than 1500. Now you see within 4 years it outnumbered the print journals, and you see the situation in 2006. Number of new online journals around 3000 and print journal reduced to 45. So this is the situation. Hello, please switch off your microphones here. Okay, so what happened actually in the last 15 years of the print resource replaced by the electronic resources. This is the case of the journal. Now if you come to the case of the books, so here you also see this is basically the data taken from the Statistia. It's a very famous global services to predict the future. So I future of ebook from 2017 to 2024, and here you see constant increase of revenues as far as books are concerned. That is higher sales of ebooks in comparison with the books, and the number of users of ebooks and exponentially from 2017 to 2024. So as you can understand now that both the two very important what normally students, teacher, researcher, librarians are actually dealing with. One is the journal, another is the book. Both are focus. So if that happened before 6 years, then this paradigm shift already happened. Now getting the what to say, that after effect, and this panic situation is just acting or just playing the role of a catalyst in paving the path of the new era in academia, that is called academic 2.0. Now, one of the the silver line in the cloud is that most of these journals, book reports, open the e-books, mostly they are already 7% of them are already available in open access channel, and experts are in open 2014. 100% of the knowledge object will be open. So that means all journal articles, all book chapter, all books will be open to everybody. This study conducted by UCLC. But one problem is that so that distributed like anything throughout the world. So if you are not an expert in something, you do not utter the sources, how to practice those sources, so that be difficult. If it is available, it won't be available to you if you are not a good scholar. And there is a very important role of library professor. They need different kind of awareness activities, awareness program, different kind of advisory services, different kind of personal services, different kind of workshop to teach students and their academic how to access sources. It is available free of cost, and how to quickly sources in the library. What I am going to show you that these resources can easily be integrated inside your library portal. Now this one now other factors the global if we about that this is one of the things that mobile now then have lived in the entire of human history put together. The peak form of global population people change research those numbers be increasing and need to be ready to face that kind of pressure in our educational institution. I'm giving you just a simple example. Use a constant there is a concept available per lakhs of
Hello.
yes, yes. You can hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Your voice is not.
No, that voice breaking will be
Voice is not clear.
that voice breaking will be there. We cannot help because lot many people actually logged on now, so it will happen. And sometimes it will also kick me out from the Google Meet. I need to rejoin. So this is a normal part nowadays of the webinar. So I was here previously actually that more people are actually attracted towards the higher education because of the global population explosion all over the world. It is happening. Our country we are not quite ready to face this particular challenge because lots of people, and that is also uneven within the country. For example.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, excuse me. Your skin is not shared. Please share the skin. Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, please share your screen.
One second, wait. This.
No, sir, your screen is not visible. No, sir, your screen is not visible.
Okay. Let me check.
जो विभागीय कार्रवाई में वो की जाएगी और सीधे तौर पर जो संयंत्र का मामला सामने आया है जिसके भी अपने आप को बड़ा गंभीर विचार पैदा करता है कि बेटी के माँ बेटी शायद बड़ा पढ़ने की जा रही थी।
Is it visible now?
No, sir, no.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Visible, visible.
Yes, sir, visible, but
Sir,
your
visible now.
voice is not clear. Clear.
That I cannot hear. You know, getting na, or are you not getting me at all? Tell me the situation. Sometimes it is breaking, or you are not getting at all.
Your voice is
Dr. Mubadar, this is happening because there are more than
And voice breaking is okay. If you are not getting me at all, that is all. Okay.
no voice.
no, sir.
Please, coordinator, please tell me the situation. Are you getting my screen? Are you getting my voice?
Yeah, it is clear now.
Okay, fine. I said that due to global explosion, lot many people are coming towards the higher education, and our educational system is not quite ready to handle this kind of pressure. Our college density is very poor. Only 28 colleges per lakhs of eligible people. Who are the eligible people? People belonging to the age group 18 to 20. Another is information explosion. What is information explosion? You are getting huge amount of information in it. That is a calculation in presently in 60 seconds, that is in 1 minute. Every average human being is getting 100 GB of textual data from different channels. Your academic channel, your social networking channel, different other entertainment channels. From where you are getting information joined together, and a new term coined, that is called entertainment. That 100 GB of textual data you are getting in every minute, that is information explosion. So actually term technically as information overload. Another is that more than 150 million people will be born in the era of information economy, because the human society actually passed through 3 waves. One is called the agricultural revolution, second is the industrial revolution, and third revolution what we are passing through is called basically the knowledge society or knowledge revolution, and that is called information economy. So 150 million people will be born this year in information economy, because more than 70% people of the society somehow act to the information processing and communication activities. Information is so important in the history of human civilization. You take a look, then you can see all are either meant for information processing or information communication. Never has technology been so focused on the access of information. And what is happening because of this revolution in information, goes both at the point of generation, at the point of utilization, the knowledge is moving very fast. So as a result, what we teach students in their first graduation, they become outdated when they graduate actually. So same thing is happening in universities also. What we teach them in the first year PG course, that become obsolete or outdated when they passed out with the degree. So knowledge is progressing very rapidly in the for example, in the field of library information science technology, field of science technology, engineering and medicine. So that is another point of caution for academia. And as I said that our life is again burdened with information over 100 GB every minute. Simply do not know how to find it. What is the relevant information? What information sources are authentic? Much of information is as bad as too little of information. So on the one hand you have huge number of information, on the other hand you do not know simply how to utilize that information sources. You simply do not know how to evaluate that information sources. So at the day, as a user of information, because every second you are using information is considered as the fourth basic resource. every second you are using information, every second you are trying to find out information. But what problems you are facing as a user? You are facing problem to learn to use them separately because information are not available in a single place. You have to roam around to different places, each using different software, different retrieval techniques, different user interfaces. So your learning, curve is quite steep. You need to search them separately, to evaluate them, then to agglomerate them, then again do a research to find out who are the best for you, what are the best for you. For very simple example, you need an surgeon, you need to consult one orthopedic. So you search Google that orthopedic around your place in Kolkata. So Google will give you 100+ list. Again, on the basis of that 100 doctor, you again have to research who are locating close to you, whose fee are actually going according to your budget, who are the doctors who are attached with the hospital. So I mean that every time you are getting, you have to pinpoint that information. So this kind of situation we are facing. And Google is your friend at any point of time. Use outside Google, and I will be telling you that what is wrong with the Google and why we should use Google Classroom in case of academic search. If you are searching your latest mobile phone any electronic gadget, Google is the best. But if you are searching your books, your journals, your required information or given topic given by a teacher, or you are preparing for your research article, then Google is not a wise choice. I will be coming to that through demonstration mode. So at the end of the day, you have Google as your friend. Now the problem that I was saying is something like that. Say for example, this is the searching. Now I search a very common topic, environmental pollution. Suppose as a student I am getting tasks to create a project on environmental pollution. Now Google is giving me result of 1,75 lakhs, and I simply do not know what to do with 25 lakhs of resources. I simply do not know what are the most relevant resources of this 1,75 lakhs of resources. What we normally do, we see what are available in the first two sets. We simply do not go beyond the set number 3 or 4 in Google. In one sense, our approach is not scientific. You are depending on luck. If you are getting something good, something relevant, you are feeling yourself lucky. That is not the process of information collection when you are actually searching information for some kind of serious business like research, academics, teaching, learning, and evaluation. So please be assured that apart from Google searching like Google, Yahoo, Alta Vista, there are many other subject directories are there, search engines are there, meta search engines are there, so huge there. But before you lose your let me go to kind of demos to show you that how Google search can be improved. So I am now switching over to my browser. That all of you now can see Google. All of you can see Google now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, or fine.
Yes, sir.
So it is. So suppose I am now searching the same thing, environmental pollution. Here, now what happens? Environmental pollution, most of you. So here I am going to show you 10,000 hours in your life. If you give attention for 10 minutes, it can save 10,000 hours in your life. One research shows, in fact, many research shows, the research report recently came that 80% of our teaching time for searching alone. Suppose I am searching environmental pollution, most of you will search like this, kind of auto suggestion, and we take the auto suggestion and search like this. Now you see, Google gives you result in different sets. Each set contains 20 documents. You can increase, it gives you document in set, set to set and so on. a look of it. Google for environmental pollution, a huge number of how many documents? 33 crores 30 lakhs. 33 lakhs of documents Google retrieved for me. Now you see how I can reduce this resource very quickly. I will use here 4 techniques you see. Search this as a page. So environmental pollution is not a separate term, so as a bound term, environment as a page. That means Google will now search only those documents where environmental and pollution came side by side. Then I will start searching that this particular page only in title. So the special keywords of Google is all in title. So I want to retrieve this particular page only from those documents where it appeared in the title. Then you know most of the resources are available, most of available in PDF format. So I can give file type colon PDF. So file type is the special keyword and PDF is the extension. If I know, if I want to retrieve only PowerPoint slide, I can give PPT. If I want to retrieve doc file, I can give doc. All from site colon in. Now you see, let me explain again this one. So I am using here Flick in place of the simple keyword search, and you see the result. Train yourself to search in this format. It's a very simple one. The logic is very simple. I am searching, if I am searching a multi-environmental pollution, open learning, external, so you always give those in the page. So that means you are not searching two separate terms, environment and pollution, rather searching by single term as a page. That page what? What is the request? Hello? Please tell me.
Your voice is very poor, and this is important. I request you to repeat it again.
So when I am searching, Google, I am not searching like environmental pollution, simple keyword. I am searching like something like this. I am using a special keyword all in title, and within that title, I am searching a particular page. What does it mean? It means that I want to a page only from those documents where it appeared in the title. Now you see, if a concept you are searching it is available inside the title of the document, that document is the most relevant for you in place of the phrase appeared in the abstract or in the body. So the 3 documents. In the document, your search page or key phrase appeared in the title. In the next one, it appeared in the third one, it appeared in the body. So definitely the one which carries your particular phrase in the title itself, that is the most relevant. The most of the academic resources from internet are available in PDF format. So I am again giving a filter, file type colon PDF. Then I want to retrieve everything from India. So site colon in. In stands for CCTLD, country code top level domain. You see all URLs are ending with rbcec.sc.in. So .in is the country code top level domain for India. SC is for academic. So why more? It's originated from India are ending with a it is called .in. Similarly, for other countries also, for Pakistan it is ending with .pk, for Bhutan it is ending with the Bangladesh it is .bt, and so on. So this is several ISO 3166, which is developed partially by a group of librarians process. Later on, ISO adapted that to the system to represent each code, 2-letter alpha code throughout the world, and it's a unique standard. So that is actually a system later on to for the domain name system DNS. Now that I am utilizing here, I want to retrieve everything from previously actually 30. How you see with this particular keyword what is happening? You just see the result. So Google is searching all resources having environmental pollution as a phrase. Then file type is PDF and from India. So it may take little bit of time. Now you see the magic. So only 440 all are coming from the ac.in. You go through everywhere. It all will be ac.in. All will be available in PDF format and all including the phrase environmental pollution in this particular title. I am trying to message. So if you are really serious to retrieve information even from Google, so do not search like an office user. So when you are searching your electronic gadget, mobile phone, that kind of is giving you good result. No doubt at cases you are getting things in the very fast set. But when you are searching for academic resources, try to be smart search and don't have to remember anything. I am not distracting you from your own subject domain. I request only this four thing. One is the all-in title, where what you are searching, that you should just inside the title, because Google is a large-scale textual search engine. So if you are not quite particular in case of filtering out your information in chunks, for example, if you search by computer driver, and if you go set number beyond set number 3 or 4, Google driver, screwdriver, automobile driver association. Why? Because the term driver in screwdriver and the term driver in computer driver, spelling is the same, and Google down the algorithm differentiate between the driver in computer driver and driver in taxi driver or driver in screwdriver. So that kind of limitation is called cross-disciplinary semantic trip, and in before search engine like Google. So you see here, from 33 course of resources, we reduced our result to 444 only by using only 4 special keywords. Again, I am explaining all in title your phrase, file type is your extension, and changing file. I want to retrieve only PDF file. So PPT or it's also. So you see, Google says nothing is there. So if nothing is there, I can reduce one filter. That filter I can delete now. Let us check. So now 3 results are there, and all 3 you see are in PPT format. So PPT, and the first one is also PPT. So this is the way. So here I can go to, if I click PDF. So you see altogether 7030. I filter. Now suppose as from Pakistan, I am giving site colon Pakistan, the ISO code CCTLD is PK colon PK. Now see 62 results are available from different institutes of Pakistan. So in this way we can restrict our search in a given extension or a given domain name. So apply the also, because this is Google generic, and you see the same thing I am going to apply in Google Scholar. So I am copying this, now switching over to Google Scholar, and you see if I paste this here, also response against this kind of searching. You see here, all phrases, all title includes the phrase environmental pollution, all are in PDF format, and even I can give also site colony and etc. etc. So these 4 search techniques are equally applicable to Google Scholar. So this is the search kind of thing, because again I am switching over to PowerPoint presentation. During my deliberation I will switch over gradually from presentation to live demonstration, so that you people don't feel bored.
हाँ सर, हमको पता था कि आप क्या कर रहे हैं, अभी पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं ना।
Okay, so as I said previously that now our users need help help to navigate this kind of help. It is the responsibility of librarian to learn kind of tools and technique, because searching is the bread and butter of library professionals. They know the resources, they know different kinds of information resources there are, search efficiency. So professional colleagues, library professional colleagues, to learn and pass your knowledge to the students and your other users like your academic colleagues. And this now know little bit of searching, how to trigger web. Now other problems are there. You only know you search query, how to train the search, that is not going to lead us anywhere. We need to other serious issues associated with information. One is the last side of web. You take it from me, 70% of internet is not at all searchable, because you cannot simply index that. Only 30% of the surface level web resources are only indexable. Now of that 30%, 70 index, because those are actually buried deep inside the database architecture. You cannot retrieve. That is the security issue. For example, suppose your libraries having 50,000 plus books, and that is available inside the OPAC. So you can search your library OPAC and you can retrieve. But your library is only one resource, the static page of your library OPAC URL. The 50,000 books available inside your database, Google cannot retrieve. So that's why I'm saying 70% of web is not at all searchable. And of that 30%, the best search engine like Google covers only 30%. So you see, although I'm saying Google is a huge large-scale textual search engine, but at the core of the code, it covers only 20% of the 30% searchable. So little amount of information from if you consider the entire volume of, and search tools are often limited by cross-disciplinary semantic, that you are searching for computer driver, Google is retrieving screwdriver. Post-retrieval access, that is a huge situation, that after knowing this kind of advanced search techniques, you are now searching quite confidently, but at the end of again see that half of the document you have retrieved from the internet are copyrighted. Your library do not subscribe it, so you do not have access to those resources. So internet is a kind of restaurant where menu card is available, but the moment you are selecting a food from the menu card and ordering, the waiter of the restaurant is saying that this food is not available for you. So this kind of situation is happening in internet. At the end of the day, you are searching lot. After 5-6 hours of searching, you find 10-15 documents, and of which only 5 and 6 you can see up to full text level. Rest are restricted up to abstract level only. So this is because of the Copyright Act. Copyright is a very funny act. Suppose you are the author, I am the reader of your paper. Now you don't have right to distribute your paper. So publishers are coming as a third party in between the author and the reader. So Copyright Act is neither author friendly, who writes the paper or book chapters or books. It is not the reader friendly, who is actually reading your document. It is only publisher friendly, and publishers actually having a very strong lobby around the world, and they trinket the Copyright Act in that way that it is not available for all. Even suppose your own paper you have written, you don't have the legal right to amongst your colleagues and friends for fair use. So that is the copyright. It is not supporting the academia. It is not supporting the professional knowledge. And have you heard, suppose you have teachers present who are writing papers for Elsevier and other bad journals? Have you ever, Taylor and Francis, Elsevier, ever funded one research project anywhere in the globe? But they have a profit margin they are making every year, huge. Is under the parent organization Reed Elsevier name is listed in the New York Stock Exchange. You go through the public domain and you will be saying the net profit of Reed Elsevier per annum is 9.34 billion for the last year. Do they pay you as an author? No. Your paper will be controlled to your senior colleagues for review, peer review process. Do they pay your senior colleagues for reviewing? No. Your colleagues are a member of the editorial board. Do they pay them? No. So this is the only industry in the world who do not pay a single buck, a single paisa for procuring raw materials. You are burning your material, you are actually giving your intellectual labor, and profit goes to this kind of 5-6 major publishers. That is the situation nowadays. Your intellectual labor is a profitable commodity for publishers. Why you are writing as an author? Why I am writing as an author? Because I want peer recognition. When I am writing and when you are writing, you people simply do not expect claps from the person on the street. You are expecting recognition from the peers. Peers means who are actually working on the same subject domain in different parts of the world. So your journal paper is paid. If your peers cannot read it, how can you get recognition? So principle is coming, and that is called copyleft model, or copyleft. Actually, every author, every producer of knowledge must have that one copy of their intellectual labor for in the public domain for reading to others. So one copy you can publish to any commercial journal. You must have the right to donate your 15% of the paper or book chapter or a technical report in any open access repository so that others can read it. So this movement is called copyleft, started in 1984 by the physics people in Los Alamos University. That is called ePrint Archive or archive.org. Famous 1984 this open access started. Many projects came, Sherpa, Romeo, then Coalition, Spark, librarians joined Kenya, and it's now a quite mature one. Now in the next of my part, I am going to show you how a librarian, as a student, you can retrieve billions of resources without paying anything to anybody because of this particular process. As an author, to donate one copy of my paper, posting of the paper in any open access repositories. So I coming to the within 5-10 minutes. That let me tell you that search, research, and search becomes the slogan of the domain now. As I said, 80% of our active research time is actually going for searching. And this is a old and user favorite quote, Samuel Johnson. Samuel Johnson, the teachers who are here from the language domain, they all know he is the first lexicographer. Once said, knowledge is of two kinds, or where you can find information. So knowledge has two facets. What is the knowledge? As a teacher, as a researcher, you are expert of your, you know what is the subject, but you do not know where is the knowledge. The cycle never complex. So both are important. What is the knowledge? You already know that. And what is happening presently in academic era. So before, as it is actually on the keyword or information literacy. Contemporary definition given by one is United States National Forum on Information Literacy, one is Association of Colleges and Such Literacy. So first it says the ability to know when there is a need for information, to be able to identify, to look, to evaluate, to effectively use, as I said during Google search. You know the Google as a search engine. If you don't know how to search it, make best it, you are simply information in this definition. Now what libraries are saying, it's a set of integrated abilities, reflective discovery information, the understanding of how information is produced and valued, that is the flow of information, use of information and creation of new knowledge. So every research, that point is that every research you are conducting in the form of writing, in the form of your assignment preparation, your different kind of tasks given by your teachers. When you are exploring something unknown, you are basically trying to start. You need to have a logical starting point for about and how to use that starting point. So this is the definition. Every research starts with a existing piece of information, and the aim of every research is a new piece of information. So every activity, teaching, learning, evaluation, research starts with an existing piece of information because you want to end up with a new piece of information. You are a consumer of information because you want to contribute back something. So that is the essence of this definition given by SCRL. One of the peculiar definitions given by the great thinker of one of the great thinkers of our time. In the book published in 1984, the book entitled The Third Wave. In the third wave, Toffler said that you see he was saying it in 1984. You see what a visionary he was actually. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, rather who cannot learn, unlearn and relearn. So that you are habituated with some kind of retrieval technique, some kind of process, some kind of methodology of teaching, learning, evaluation and everything. Not everything. Many of those things you have to forget first, then you have to relearn. For example, the Google search I am showing you. So if you buy the results of this, you will never search again by simple keyword typing because you now know the difference. So this kind of unlearn what you have learned, which is not actually working, relearn the new technology. Even sometimes what you have relearned, that also you have to so society is increasing. Knowledge is moving very fast. Not know how to learn, unlearn and relearn, then we will be in problem. In Bengali, one of our teachers said I'm telling it in Bengali, excuse me, those who are not understanding. Once in our class he said very clearly, তার প্রতি অনুরাগ ভুলতে হবে। যখন আমরা প্রথম লাইব্রেরি সায়েন্স পড়তে এলাম, কেউ কেমিস্ট্রি থেকে, কেউ ফিজিক্স থেকে, কেউ ম্যাথ, জিওগ্রাফি থেকে, উনি প্রথমেই বললেন অধিক প্রতি অনুরাগ ভুলতে হবে। Here when I am teaching to my students, every time I am behind that particular statement, learn, unlearn and relearn. Now, as I said that every research starts with an existing piece of information right from your KG school, kindergarten school to your courses, your research, everywhere you are actually getting this kind of information sources. But if I ask you that can all the sources you have utilized in your lifetime be categorized? Is it possible to categorize? Yes, it is possible. There are information sources you have consulted in your lifetime. And these are the primary information sources, secondary information sources and tertiary information sources. Primary information sources actually gives the first-hand nascent, the first research information, not information, a journal article, like a thesis, like a technical report, but not a book. Book is a secondary information, so never gives you the original information or first-hand information. It's basically a compilation work, so it's the secondary information source. And tertiary information sources form a list of the primary and secondary sources in my domain. So information flows in this fashion: primary to secondary to tertiary. The teachers from the science community, most of you search journals. But you see, in the chemistry, there are more than 1,000 journals. So if we consider 1 volume per annum, so produces almost 1 lakh articles per annum annually. So if you are searching a particular keyword, nanotechnology, for the last 5 years, so it will be around searching 50 lakhs of doctors. So you do not do that. You do not do that, go to an abstracting services like your chemical abstract, your biologist to a researcher. Hello.
Excuse me. Your skin is out of it. Your presentation.
Okay. I'm taking. Okay, I'm. It sometimes happen, is it visible now? Hello.
Okay, sir.
Sometimes it happen if some of the participants unknowingly clicking the present button. This is one of the problem with Google Meet. So it's actually my presentation at the background and his or her presentation in the foreground. Okay, this is happening every time. So what was my point is that information actually flows from primary to secondary to tertiary, but when you will be searching, it should be from tertiary to secondary to primary. I am giving one example. Suppose Google search we have seen. So Google is a tertiary source. Why I am calling it a tertiary source? Because it is actually agglomerating websites. Suppose your college website, it's a secondary source. Now, what are the primary source? Inside your college website, there are many notices, many documents in HTML format, in PDF format. Those are so primary sources are the documents. Those are available inside your website. Those are that is the secondary source, and Google or any search engine indexing the website source. In case of the print domain, it is suppose you are publishing a paper in a journal. Journal is a primary source. Now that is getting indexed and abstract services like your journal, your indexing service, abstracting service. Abstract, biological abstract, ceramic abstract, many abstracts indexing available. Electronic databases like Scopus. So these are all secondary services, and tertiary sources are Pathfinder service from where you can get the information about the secondary and primary sources. So your search should be starting from the tertiary sources. So the next slide will make it very clear. Here you see we have periodical research report, conference proceeding, patent, standards, trade literature thesis. These are repackaged in the form of indexing service, abstracting service, review journal, reference books. As I said, book is basically a secondary service. Take all secondary information source. Then these are again get in list different kind of directories, etc. For example, if you want to know how many journals the domain of political science, including abstracting and indexing journal. So there you need a tertiary source. We have a tertiary source called Ulrich International Periodical Directory, which gives you alphabetical list of all journals in subject domain. You ask your librarian friend, they can within a minute they can give you the number of abstracting indexing journal and the primary journals and what are the database in that source is very important to know both for the library professionals and the research and academic community. And if all the sources can be divided into three groups, primary, secondary, and tertiary, can we categorize our approach to when you are searching information? When you are searching some kind of action, you are searching only four things, only four categories of search there, nothing else, nothing beyond it. One is the current approach. You already know what is what in your subject, you are subject expert, but you want to know what happened in your subject in last 7 days, in last 30 days, in last 6 months. So that is current approach. I want to know the latest in my domain, in my area of research. Next is the everyday. everyday approach. Suppose I am a science worker, I am a researcher, lab researcher, chemistry lab researcher. So I need to know different kind of chemical properties of the elements I am dealing with. So that is called everyday approach. Before entering inside lab, I need to know this kind of information. What is the vapor boiling point and many other things. Suppose I am working as a financial analyst or I am a researcher in economics. I want to know a set of economic data happening in that very morning. Stock market data, different kind of exchange rate, different kind of foreign direct investment happening in that particular state, different kind of statistics relativity. So these are called everyday. Your work you need start with. Third is the exhaustive approach. Every time you are searching Google without any giving any kind of filter, like environmental pollution without any filter, you are making an exhaustive search. I want to know everything in this particular area, against this particular keyword, against this particular phrase. That is called exhaustive search. We are not giving any kind of filter like ER and other things. And fourth one is coming up quickly, that is called catching up approach. Nowadays, this is the era of multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary, research. Chemistry people are trying to learn biology. Physics people are trying to learn biology. Biological science people are trying to learn physics. So chemistry, nanotechnology. So all kind of, even in case of arts and humanities also. So subjects are coming like geopolitics. So you need to know geology as well as political science. So this kind of approach by you see there are schools of different schools. 4 or 5 departments are actually forming a school. School of rare text or school of cultural text is basically comprising different language department, linguistic department, and computer science department. So department school of marine science, geology, geography, engineering, etc. So that catching up approach is coming up very is actually the need is that I am an expert of the given domain. Suppose I am an expert, I very quickly want to know the basic facets related to the information sources which will help me to pick up the basic skills related to of which I am a layman. So that is called catching up approach. I quickly want to understand, I quickly want to have the basic facts related to other domains or disciplines of which I am not an expert. So this is a perfect matrix. You see there are 3 kind of sources and 4 kind of approaches. You need to remember this model because you are searching print resources or online resources, it does not matter. This particular model is valid for both print domain as well as for online domain. So let me go through the demonstration mode again. You can see my screen now?
Okay. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Fine. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So, okay. So, I already told you that when you are taught all information sources, tertiary sources are most important one, and I also told you that almost 50% of the resources presently available in different open access channels. So first, I will be now giving you an ethic exposition to different open access tertiary tools so that you can identify your resources very quickly. And in the entire open access can be divided into 2 groups. One is called the gold path. So when users are authors are directly publishing their papers in open access journals or open access books, like in the form of a book chapter, that is called gold path. And green path is that suppose I publish my paper, I already published a paper in a commercial journal, I don't have the copyright, still legal right is there. I can upload my preprint version of the paper, or postprint. Preprint means the version of the paper before submitting to the editorial board, and postprint is that after publication you are changing something in your abstract, something in your title, something in your database, that becomes data set, that becomes your postprint. So both you have right to upload both the preprint and postprint version of your paper. So as an author, what is your benefit? First is that you are supporting a great cause. You are writing for your peers, not for the profit of a commercial organization. So if your paper available in full text, your peers can read it, and if they read it, then chances of getting citation of your paper is higher. Suppose I cannot see your paper beyond the abstract. I can see others paper beyond the abstract on the full text level. I will try to cite the paper which is available to me in full text format, not the one which is available to me in the abstract format. So chances of citation is higher if your paper is available full text online freely. And at the end of the day, how many papers you have written, it does not matter. It always matters how many citations you have received at the end of the day. So first one is that in the first tertiary source in the gold path, that means open access journals. So here you see a university called Lund University. Whatever resources I am going to show here, all are developed by different universities of the world, and all are free. You don't have to pay anything to anybody, and all are available up to full text level. You don't have to be satisfied with only abstract. I will give you the real code. So this one you first try doaj.org. So you please write down the URL if you do not know, directory of openaccessjournal.org. Now you can search here either number of articles or number of journals available in your domain. See here, it covers almost 15,000 journals and almost 51 lakhs of articles you can search from here. So first I am searching the journal. So I am now unchecking the articles. I am searching what are the journals available in political science. Political science, you see all the journals available in Doaj in the domain of political science will be retrieved. So altogether 547 journal retrieved, 547. Now you see Doaj is a global platform, so many languages are available. Now I can filter out by the full text language. I want to know all. So the English language, there are 370 number of journals available in the political science. Now these are all freely available for reading. All are available under Creative Commons licensing. That means you can download freely, you can distribute freely, you can redistribute freely. And CC BY, some have to be very careful about that licensing. So CC BY SA means every kind of right you are given. But if it is CC BY NC, that means the right given for non-commercial purposes. So most of the academic activities are non-commercial purposes. So don't worry about that. I just talked about that there are 6 variants of Creative Commons licensing, and you know most liberal one is CCBY. There is no restriction, even not commercial restrictions one also, and the most restrictive is CCBY SA NC ND, non-derivative, non-commercial. So again, suppose these are all available from the reader's point of view. Any reader can access for the lifetime of the journal. But if you want to in political science, some journals are charging. Suppose you want to submit a paper in any of the open access journal, it may charge something that is called APC, processing charges. But my suggestion is that when you suppose I retrieved number of journals in political science. Now, if you can see this article processing charges APC, click here, it will say no APC for 336, yes APC 34. So 34 journals are only charging for publication, and journals are not even charging for the publication. Reading is free for all 370. But if you want to publish this 34 is charge something, and this 34 has no charge at all. So 60% of the journals are listed in Doaj, do not charge anything at all. Second important thing for Drawage is that if a journalist that it has through 21 quality parameters, that is called Drawage quality seal. So if a journal listed in Drawage predatory online journal. Predatory journal means those journals which will publish any garbage against money. So those are very dangerous. Do not publish your paper in those predatory journals. Before publishing your paper in an open access journal, please check it whether it is listed in not listed in Drawage. Do not publish there because you will not get your proper credit. And people will think that so do not right from your young days, do not be trapped, because those are out and out commercial activities and they do not maintain any kind of quality. All kind of garbage is and two countries presently top the list of predatory journals in the world. One is India, second is Nigeria. So you be very careful about not publishing anything in predatory journals. In case of any doubt, you simply come to Drawage, check the availability of the journal. You can search by ISSN, different other area. Now, apart from journal searching, you can also go for article searching. So this time I am unchecking journal and checking all the articles and searching just environmental pollution. Now this time it will retrieve all the articles, and all articles it will retrieve are available fully free of cost. So 7,000 plus articles available, and you go for any of this article. This is available full text. You click it, you can download, you can go through it, and you have every right, under the Creative Commons license. It's completely legal. Now, what are the tertiary sources? This is about the. Now, the next important tool is developed by Nottingham University or University of Nottingham, UK. That is called OPRI, of Open Access Repositories. Say, for example, I say that you can submit your paper any of the open access channels. So, any of the open access repositories. So how can I know what are the repositories available in my domain? Suppose in the subject field of chemistry or political science or economics. So let me show you. You come to this particular URL. So this is called this is the URL, and the service is called OpenDoor. You can even search your group. It is running by Nottingham University. Now you click the advanced search. Suppose I want to know what are the repositories available in the domain of economics. So you see how easy it is. So in search, you will be getting a list of subjects. So you see here, one of the things that it is not discriminating against the subject field. If you go to the commercial channel, it is slightly inclined towards the STEM group, science, technology, engineering, and medicine, but gives due importance for all the disciplines. So here, arts and humanities, geography, etc. Now suppose I am interested in economics, so I can go through it. This is the subject heading list they have taken from Library of Congress. So these are the resources available, and many resources top down you can go through. So suppose I am going for business and economics. If I select this particular subject button and hit the search button here, so here you will see it will list me all kind of repositories all over the world available. So there are 337 repositories available, and these 337 repositories, suppose on an average, if each one of these repositories includes 10,000 papers from their faculty of that institute, so 337 into 10,000. Now you do your math. Papers are actually available free of cost legally, which are already published in different commercial channels, and your library does not have any access to it. So there, here you can retrieve that. Even you can search the repository by giving your query. So try this one, OpenDoor. It's a tertiary tool in that open access. document published commercially, but available, one copy of it available through open access channel. Now, as many students are there, and at the college level, you need lot to the books available. So the same people who started Dwaj, they also started DWAP, Directory of. So it presently includes almost 389 publisher. You can search in your book and you can download from here, and it is growing every day. Please keep a check on it. It is growing every day, and this is that URL doabooks.org. Another book site very popular throughout the world, that is called openlibrary.org. Those who knew the name of Aaron Swartz started actually Guerrilla Open Access. Guerrilla Open Access manifesto he has written. So Aaron started this particular project, Open Library, one website for every book. Now it is a very matured one. Millions of books are available. Some are available for free downloading, which are copyright free, and those which are not copyright free, you can borrow it, just like you can borrow or have you can have a book from the library. The same way you can have a book from here for 14 days or 15 days, and after 14 or 15 days you have to return that book, that e-book basically. So this is the way it is working. I request all of you to become a member of Open Library. Open Library presently linked with Internet Archive also, so the reader, you can read the book itself. This is openlibrary.org. So there are a huge number of books are available. Next best websites for book is the Hathi Trust Digital Library. So the term Hathi actually they have taken from India. The elephant is basically meant for its memory. So they have taken the term Hathi and Hathi to indicate the huge available Hathi Trust. You can search interested catalog like author, title, or you can search text. You can even integrate this one inside your library system. Trying to show you that one. How can we integrate? The good source. And last but not the least in the book is archive.org. So if you search here, it can retrieve all the copyright free books. It is archived. You can read it here. You can download in PDF format, EPUB format. I'm just trying to tell you a story here. So one of my students working, to study different versions of copy by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, because as your college is named by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. So that work was very interesting. Kopal Kundala got 30 versions, different versions. So he is studying that how in the text one edition is different from another edition, what modification done in the lifetime of the author, and what modification people actually did. So we were not getting the first version of Kopal Kundala in any libraries of India. So here archive.org came into issue. We got the first edition of Kopal Kundala right from there for download. Actually, then only our job actually was possible. So this is the people who are working in language domain, literature domain. It's a unique source for them. All kind of archive resources right from the first edition of commit from here, and it is going every day. So then I would like to introduce with you the tools I have talked about, that Dwaj, Druab, Open Door, Hathi Trust, etc. Now I am telling a tool which gives you a single point for searching every open access resources, and better for after my demonstration, which one is better, Google or your best search engine in case of academic search. So let me increase the size. Only it includes almost 20 9 million resources, almost 200 million plus resources, 200 million, not a matter of joke. 1 lakhs of resources. So 200 million, you do your math. This hyphen search actually single point of reference for really in the open access channel. Either it is from Gold Path or Green Path or Book or Thesis and many other things. You can search from one particular place. Who have it? Again, another university, Central Library of Bielefeld University. Here you see. So it is actually created by Bielefeld, Germany. Bielefeld is a famous university in Germany. They are Central Library. And I also covered a little bit. It is based on Viewfind open source search engine. So it's a combination of everything I am showing, every service I am showing, like Duaz, your Open Door, your Duaz, all are built on top of every. See here, this is also built on the top of Solar. Solar is an open source text retrieval engine, and Viewfind is an open source discovery tool. So on behalf of Viewfind community, I contributed to that one. But before that, how it is different from Google side. I am doing here pollution. Like Google, it also gives the auto suggestion. So environmental pollution, I am searching here. Up to this point, there is no difference between. Now you see after searching what happens. After searching what happens, you see a bit of time because depending on the network rate. First thing, what I would like to request you to give attention. One is the field. You can search like Google. You can search by title. You can search by author. You can search by subject. Google, I have shown you how can restrict your search in the title field. But in Google, it's not possible to restrict your search by author or by subject. Google to retrieve books written by Amartya Sen. So you just type Amartya Sen within fetch. It will give documents written by Amartya Sen, documents on Amartya Sen, documents with a link to Amartya Sen. Perfect scenario noise, some others. But now you see, you can restrict Amartya Sen as an author, or you can restrict environmental pollution as a subject. Suppose if I restrict environmental pollution as a subject, you see 68,000 plus. Now if I search, it will be reduced like anything. Now it is searching environmental pollution and the subject domain, not possible in Google. So now you see it was 68,000, now it is 13,000. So all these are now belonging to the subject domain of environment. And more importantly, next I will try request you to see the display format, just like a library, because a group of librarians developed it. The biggest touch of a librarian is there. Who is the author? Then publish application. So right from here I can take a decision, and right from here I can know whether it is available in open channel or not. This particular what my pointer is there present now, developed by UNESCO, a symbol of open access resources. If you get it, you are quite sure that it is available as open access resource. Now if I click this retrieve in the full text respective server. Okay, so now you see in compare with that, you just see in Google you are getting all text. Right from here I cannot take a decision. I need to click, I need to check, and then I need to know the relevancy of the document. To see right from decision, and how many resources are getting 200 million qualified resources. Again, if you go through kind of filter here, you can filter by university, you can filter by subject, you can filter by language, filter by year of publication. So it shows that in which year how many documents are available of this 13,000 plus documents. So restrict the language. And only English documents are available in English language. So next time, see, it will become 8,000. So now it language. So many fields are there. And one of the part, now you see, it's 8,492. One of another advantage of this is that browsing. You can browse resources by class number. I am sure that many of you already visited a library. In a library stack room, books are organized by class number. That we call Dewey Decimal Class Number. And every subject domain has got a number. So we represent a three-digit BDC number. So for example, 530 represents physics, 570 represents zoology, and so on. Now this part I contributed a bit there. If I click the browse, you see Google does not support you or gives you the browsing scope. Here you can see we developed a mechanism auto classifies up to the third summary of. If I click decimal aggregation here, all the fast or like philosophy, social science, standard division and higher division and so on. This is the first order 0 computer science, 100 philosophy, 200 religion and so on. So if I click social science, so second order deal of social science will come. I'm interested in economics, will come, and everywhere you see number given within the parentheses actually indicates the number of resources available. So documents are available. Essential economics, 530 numbers of documents are available. So this is the tip, and if you know what is the subject of your what is the number, DDC number subject, you search by that one. Suppose I'm a basic subject chemistry. If I click DDC colon 540, so if in the domain of chemistry will be retrieved from base in one go. So you ask your librarian friend that what is the base number in your class number in your subject, and if 98,000 documents available in physics, chemistry. If I search by physics 530, search up to the so it is supporting presently third order division, much more. And so you see, for physics it is 4,77,000 of resources. So I think now I consumed my time. Should I stop?
Sir, okay. Sir, okay.
Fine. So should I continue or should I stop?
Stop.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So that's all.
Stop.
Okay. So there are many resources available. Only I have shown you today. And if you are interested, alongside my PPT, I will also share the level. You can have it later. So thank you for sharing. So I am now, stopping my presentation.
Thank you so much, Professor Partho Sarathi Mukhopadhyay, for your innovative and informative discussion and excellent lectures. Sir highlighted a lot of new strategy to Google search in demonstrated mode and copyright issues and different aspects of door and open door. Sir, I request you, sir, it is a good time for question answer session. Some participant but due to time constraint, I have selected one or two questions. Please, sir, meet these questions. First question came from the Mojitos Gayan City College. Student knowledge, rural areas, no internet. Awesome. Full increase to rural area, please, sir.
Could you please repeat again? Could you
How
please
can
repeat, Santosh Bhai?
full increase student knowledge of environment? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I got it.
Full increase student knowledge.
Okay, I got it. Actually, you see, there is a relationship between the data, information, and knowledge. Are you getting me? Hello? I got the question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is that how can Google increase the knowledge level of a student? It cannot. Because you need to understand what is the relationship between the information and knowledge. Data is input to the information. Information is input to the knowledge. What Google can give you? Information. To gather knowledge from that information, you need to apply your own intelligence and intuition. So when information is mixed up with your intuition and intelligence, then it becomes knowledge. And when knowledge is mixed up with your other kind of philosophy and intelligence, then it becomes wisdom. So the whole thing is that the data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. So Google or any other search engine, even your library, we do not give knowledge. We only give information. Then to procure knowledge from that information is the duty of the student or the user. And suppose we are teacher, we are also providing the same information in the classroom in 1 hour. But you see, different students come up with different sets of knowledge. So information when mixed up with intuition and intelligence, then becomes knowledge. I hope you got it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. No, sir. This is just one question. Sir, now this is the time of deliver. I express my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to our today's national winner, resource person, Professor Partho Sarathy Mukhopadhyay, for your valuable and wonderful presentation and discussion. Please, sir, always associate with us. Thanks once again for spending your valuable time. Sincere thanks to our college authority, principal, and I2SC coordinator, all teachers and academic staffs of our college. My humble thanks to them, to team members of seminar subcommittee, and thanks to our young teacher, Professor Devujyoti Haldar, Department of Physics, for his continuous technical support. Last but not least, my sincere thanks to all participants spending your valuable time. Thank you, sir.